Hello, everyone. I am Maria Kliavkov from MK Facilitations, and I'm popping on today to talk about heartbreak because this is a topic that has come up an awful lot, both today, yesterday, and actually the day before, too. I've been seeing posts about it. I've been hearing from my clients about it. Heartbreak is such an important part of this journey. And, we fight it so much because it's so painful. We literally feel like our heart physically is breaking when we've lost somebody that we love so dearly and we don't know what to do with it, and our heart doesn't know what to do with it, and so our heart feels heavy and it feels like it's just being torn apart. And sometimes our joyful memories of them, what was joyful memories, is actually part of that tearing process, and that's how we're experiencing it, and that's how we're feeling it. And so what I've been hearing from my clients this week is how overwhelming that pain can be. And I've also been hearing about a need to control the heartbreak, to control the feelings of it, to control the sensations of it, and most of all, to control the tears. I've had two people say to me, how do I just stop these tears? My answer to that is you don't. That's hard to hear, particularly when you're in the pain of it, isn't it? Because in the pain of it, you just want that pain to stop, and you'll do anything to make it stop. It feels like there's a hole in your heart, and at the same time, it feels like there's just a weight on your heart that is so big and so heavy and will never lift. But here's the thing. When we know how to be with it, when we know how to be present to it, it does lift. The symptoms of grief soften over time. The heartbreak is real. And we need to do what Carly Simon said in her beautiful song. We need to recognize that there is more space in a broken heart, and we need to stop fighting the broken heart. We need to be willing to feel that space. And the broken heart can be happening because your loved one died, can also be happening because when your loved one dies, your whole world blows up around you. And so the relationships, the family relationships can blow up. Families just go their separate ways. Children and parents cease to work together. There's a whole myriad of things that happen as a direct result of that first death. And all of it has the potential for being heartbreaking. And, one client in particular I had who said to me, and it was so poignant, when does the heartbreaking stop? It's like a chain reaction of heartbreak. I have just had one heartbreak after another, and my heart's not strong enough. My heart can't take it anymore. So what I'm going to invite you to do, if you're feeling this and if you're experiencing this, is I'm going to invite you to put your hand on your heart. Physically, let your heart feel that your hands have got that space, that you're holding that space with gentleness and with care. And I'm going to invite you to simply close your eyes and breathe into that space. Let yourself feel into that space and let yourself feel those tears as they come up. Let yourself feel the shudder of the heart. Let yourself feel what wants to be expressed. Because honestly, what's breaking the heart more than anything else is your fight against letting those tears just flow. And in the early stages, there's going to be a lot of tears. I've been getting messages from people whose husband died 2 weeks ago or a month ago. Please know how early on this is in your grief process. And we need to let that heart break. We need to recognize that heartbreak is part of what acknowledges what's going on in our lives. Our beloved is no longer physically with us, and that is heartbreaking. And so we need to allow the space and the grace and the time to allow our heart to do what it needs to do. because the breaking is actually part of the healing. It's part of the resetting. It's part of rediscovering where they are. And when you discover where they are, when you find where that relationship sits now, it's not in the physical realm anymore. And the heartbreak is about that. The heartbreak is around, it's not in the physical realm anymore. The difference is we think the heartbreak is because they are not anywhere anymore. And as we begin to discover where they are now, so do we begin to start finding hope in the heart. And it's that journey of discovering where that relationship is now. The starting place of finding out where the relationship is now is allowing ourselves to acknowledge the reality of they're not physically with us. And that is, I'm afraid, a heartbreak. And there's no two ways around that, right? That's just the way it is. So I'm hoping that taking the time and taking the breath and listening into your heart and finding people that you can talk about this heartbreak and you can be honest with about this heartbreak is a way that you can sit with it. Heartbreak is made much easier when you can be patient with it, when you can love yourself in it, and when you can be with your heart so that you are not abandoning your heart as this pain is coming up. And the thing is, it comes in waves. So we let the heart break a little bit at a time. And then magically, and it is magically, we allow it that space and that grace. And then we discover when we let the tears flow, when we let the emotions flow, when we let our body shake with it, when we let the wrath come out, then there's grace that takes over, and the grace that makes it a little bit easier, and the grace that brings breath back to our bodies after we've shaken and we've quaked with it. So if there's anything that I can do to help you in that space, please let me know. If you've got any questions for me or messages, I see that there are 5 of you on here with me right now, and for some reason, Facebook is not showing me who all's with me. So I'm having a hard time seeing that feed. So if I can't see the feed, but you do have questions, then I'm going to encourage you to write questions into the feed. And I promise you that I will answer those questions. I will type them out for you. It's a shame that I'm seemingly not able to see them today. And hopefully we'll figure out the why of that and we'll be able to resolve that situation next time. In the meantime, if you have any other questions for me, if you're wanting to know if what you're experiencing is part of grief or whether it's something else, if you're concerned because you're having some kind of physical symptom or emotional symptom and you're not sure where it's coming from, please write me that question and we'll make sure to put it on the Facebook Live question sheet because I have a whole sheet of topics that we're going to be talking about. And if you're struggling with this, if you find yourself suffering with this, please know that the grief journey is a sacred, sacred journey. And what I mean by that is it's got ups and it's got downs. It's got deep sorrow and it's got deep joy as well. But none of it needs to be suffering. It's suffering when we fight the journey. But when we learn the lessons of how to not fight the journey and how to go with it, it is an incredibly beautiful and sacred journey. And it's a process of life. Unfortunately, it's a process of life that not many of us have learned how to deal with because not many of us have seen examples of people traveling good grief. And so if you're having challenges with that, if you're suffering in your grief and you're wanting to know more about the how of how to release it, and if you're just wanting to share your story, then please, I encourage you, give me a call, private message me, we'll set up a time to connect, and we'll find what's true in your story and how you can walk through this with ease and grace. It's been a pleasure being here with you. I look forward to seeing what the comments were as soon as I close this out. In the meantime, much love to you. I know we're stepping into the weekend. I encourage you to find people who can be with you in this weekend and who can be with you and sit with you as your heart is breaking, because that's really important. That there are people who are with you who can be with you in it without trying to fix it for you. Until next time, much love for you. Namaste.